Welcome back for our favorite segment of the week. It's nothing but Ask Glazer,
What's going on?
NFL on Fox Insider, Jay Glazer.
I'm glad you actually named the show Ask Glazer because it'd be weird if it was like Ask Strahan or Ask Jones or Long or Shapiro or Murphy or somebody, and I'm sitting here.
You make the trip. You make the trip up to our studio. You get the segment.
Yeah, it's good.
You get the segment.
Good.
Happy holidays, man.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Let's get right into it. Where else would we start?
I don't know. Where are we starting?
Aaron Rodgers
Okay.
wants to know, hey, Jay, is Aaron Rodgers really medically cleared to play? And do you really think he will suit up?
Okay.
Especially Jets lose in week 15. I mean, where do we see this going?
So here's the deal. Aaron will be medically cleared. And that doesn't mean he's back to being the same old Aaron Rodgers where he could just sprint out. And if he were to play, they design plays where he's in the pocket. He's probably going to throw the ball away quicker than he normally would want to because he does like extend plays. But from what they saw of him, they were kind of wowed in some of the stuff he was doing in practice. Now, here's the other big part of this. This decision isn't just Aaron's. It's just not the head coaches. I know they're all going to come together. Aaron, the head coach, the general manager, and the owner, Woody Johnson. Yep. He's going to have a huge say in this. He's got to write the checks. He's going to have a very big say in this of what happens. And obviously, look, you just saw, the Jets, how they were against Miami. And you go, oh, man, we don't want to put a guy like Aaron Rodgers behind that offensive line and, have him get hurt again. But I think in Aaron's mind, Aaron's probably, and I haven't talked about this, but he's probably gone back and forth of even if they weren't in playoff contention, just to show the world he came back a month faster than anybody else has ever done it. I mean, if it was me, regardless if it was playoff or not, I'd probably want to show the world, yeah, I did something nobody else has ever done. And just to show I pushed myself to this point where I could do it. Now, again, it's not just going to be up to Aaron. Do I think Aaron will push to play regardless? It probably would. But I think the decision's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a collective decision.
I get that for a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. And I think they expect him to be there next year. I think his mindset is, the last couple of years it's been, is he going to retire or not? I think going in this whole thing, he's figuring that he'll be here next year, and they want to make sure they protect their commodity for next year as well.
I wouldn't say the Jets have been must-see TV for the last few weeks, but I've got a close eye on it. I mean,
of course.
Hey, it's going to be fascinating to watch, see what happens. Next question. You had some wonderful scoopage on Sunday morning about the Philadelphia Eagles. Matt Patricia's calling the defense heading into Monday night. Jalen Hurts is making his own travel arrangements because he's sick. I mean, he's that sick. How worried should Eagles fans be about what's going on?
Let's first talk about the Matt Patricia thing. Yes, Matt Patricia's now, he's the play caller. It's his defense. They're not changing the titles, I don't think, of Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. But that's just semantics. Doesn't matter. It's no longer Sean Desai's. It's Matt Patricia's. He's the guy. Sean Desai's been reassigned to do other things for the organization and, projects and whatnot for, I think there's still, whatever the head coach needs and probably Matt Patricia may need for defense. But this is a change in defense. Matt Patricia is now running the show there on the defensive side of the ball. And look, they've given up, over 100 points in the last 3 weeks and 1,355 yards in the last 3 weeks. So I totally understand it. Now, as far as Jalen's concerned, Jalen took his own plane, or not his plane, but a different plane, because he wasn't feeling sick. I want to make sure that if he just didn't want to spread it to anybody else. So we're kind of being safer than sorry that it doesn't go to anybody else on the team. As of right now, they think he's going to go. Look, we've seen Jalen Hurts play through an awful lot of stuff. I don't see, him being sick, keeping him out.
He's on the list of guys I would not bet against. All right, the Chiefs get a win in New England on Sunday. Still looks kind of iffy with their receiver situation.
Yeah.
Scott just wants to know, I mean, how worried should people be about the Chiefs? I mean, they keep waiting for him to turn it on, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, Howie said in the show last week is pretty smart and pretty, I remember him saying it like, oh, yeah, it's kind of really what they look like was it's almost like, yeah, we're fine. We'll get in the playoffs. Don't worry about it. And then we'll turn it on. And almost like that's how they're kind of playing. But look, penalties have killed them. To take away that one from Kadarius Toney 2 weeks ago, the penalties have killed them. Drops from the receivers have killed them. Kadarius Toney had another big one today also. So I think I know it's frustrating for Patrick Mahomes, frustrating for Andy Reid, but it is Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You just think playoff time comes, they'll figure out a way to turn it on and just to mesh together. And until they show me otherwise, man, I'm going to believe that's what they do.
As soon as I write them off, that's when I'm going to be watching them make fun of me for writing them off after they win another game.
Yeah, I don't write those guys off.
Goes. Okay. Chargers job officially open, something that's been speculated a lot, but it's done now. Who are some likely candidates for that job here in LA?
First of all, that's like the place everybody wants to go to. GMs, head coaches, even last year when they thought it looked like Brandon Staley, was on the hot seat. I was getting called from a ton of guys hoping, hey, is that job going to open up? Man, I would love to see, even like current head coaches, see if they can get out to go there. First of all, they're opening up a great new practice facility right down here on the beach, near the beach over here in LA, which is going to be amazing. But you got that quarterback and Justin Herbert. And that's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things head coaches look for and go to a place is quarterback situation. And you have one of the top 5 in the league sitting right there. So it's a great job. Now, as far as where do they go, I think they need to build the culture. They still may go, hey, we need an offensive guy to work with the quarterback. And, a guy like Ben Johnson, who's the coordinator from the Detroit Lions, who's just done a phenomenal job, would fit perfectly in a place like that. But culture builders, I think, is what they really need there. But it's a great opening as far as coaches and GMs look at it.
Quarterback is always going to make a job appealing. All right, this ties in beautifully because the next question, this is the 3rd straight year we've done this. Dan Quinn,
right?
Cowboys DC. It could be Chargers, it could be otherwise, but do you see this being the year that Dan Quinn finally takes that leap?
Here's the thing. Again. A lot of people don't know this. Dan Quinn was favored to get the Denver Broncos job 2 years ago. And he interviewed, I think it was the day after Dallas lost to San Francisco, I think it was, in the playoffs. And he went in there and he was just in the tank. And, that was a hard loss for them. So he just wasn't himself. And they pulled off him and went to Nathaniel Hackett. So now, as a result, I think they changed the rule last year. And somebody said to me, I don't know if it's called the Dan Quinn rule. Somebody called it the Dan Quinn rule of now they have to wait 3 days after your last game to actually interview. But yeah, Dan Quinn is every team I've talked to and every executive, when you're talking about lists, Dan Quinn is 1 or 2 on everybody's list. And yeah, he is. You want to talk about a guy who's going to build the culture, and he's a teacher. There's a lot of play callers out there. There's not as many teachers left in this league right now. He's a teacher. He's a motivator. He's a culture builder. Dan Quinn will get one of these jobs.
Keeping Dan for not just 1, but 2 years is one of the more impressive things Jerry Jones has
no
done
doubt
in the last few years. We'll see where it goes.
Like McCarthy, both of them. Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. We will see where it all goes. It's that time of year. This stuff's going to start ramping up. Jay Glazer, we always appreciate it, man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, man.